the show, we have Stephanie and myself, Paul. And joining us, we have Nicole from Bulu and Jenna from GNC, one of our awesome partners. Nicole, Jenna, I guess we should get it first. Jenna, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. 2 days ago, I didn't have a voice, so things are on the up and up. But just hanging low this year and hoping that everything that happened last year is behind us and just positive, right?
Yeah. Are you working from home or are you folks in the office, or how's that situation for you?
Yeah, it's an adjustment. We have been home since, I believe, maybe around April-ish last year. Yep. So it's been quite the transition, obviously. I love being in town. I love being around people and the energy, and I just feed off of that. So it's been a big adjustment for me. But technically we've never closed. So I have popped in and out occasionally and gotten to see a few people. So that's kept me a little bit sane. But it's the kids at home. We've got the virtual hybrid in school.
Pets running around?
Not school, all that stuff. Plus this, it's been fun.
Yeah. Do you have pets running around?
Yeah. I got 2 dogs in the other room and hoping they stay quiet. But yeah.
That's been the surprising, challenging thing. We have the same thing, 2 kids and 2 pets. And I'm like, man, the dogs are kind of the Pandora's box. So
how about you?
Cool.
How are you?
We're doing great. Stephanie and I been working from home with the rest of the team since about March 12th. And I feel like you captured exactly how we both feel, trying to figure out the new way. And I've definitely seen that some folks are thriving and some folks are, a little bit more challenged by it. So I'm curious. So Nicole, kind of probably the same question. I think you'll have a better take than us. So Nicole, how are you doing? And let's just ask the same question. How, we haven't really asked you, how are you feeling about working from home, et cetera?
I was very skeptical and hesitant at the beginning. I thought for sure I was going to hate it. And actually now I love it. And I don't know that I want to go back. I think I do love our team, and I do miss kind of that stuff, but I think the Bulu crew are especially, we already have such great rapport that a lot of that has been able to carry over into the virtual environment. And I enjoy being able to take bathroom breaks and snack breaks and cat snuggle breaks as needed. Although the line between work and home has definitely been blurred a bit. So I don't know, there's trade-offs, positive pros and cons.
Do you both have the same challenge that I do, where you're at home and there's dishes and you find yourself doing dishes and you're like, what am I doing? I need to I have 20 things at work to do, or is that just exclusive to me?
I do it, not as much as I should, but again, that's the intention every day is that I'm going to sweep or vacuum or do the dishes in the sink. And the reality is that, I'm helping to be a teacher and trying to squeeze in those bathroom breaks and, cleaning up after a dog accident or all those fun things that catch me off guard all the time. But yeah, it's nice those days that you actually can, run an errand or return something or, clean something. Those luxuries are nice, but I'd still prefer just having the hustle and bustle of, lots of people, creative energy around.
I'm with you, Jenna.
I find it weird.
Although I have enjoyed working from home more than I thought. But if you force me to choose one or the other, I would definitely say I need to be in the office, get that energy from other people. But probably the perfect mix is a little bit of both. And I think that's probably where we're headed.
Yeah.
I think we will too.
Yeah, I think Salesforce CEO, and they just came out and declared as if they're the authority, but they just said the 9 to 5 is dead. There's going to be remote workers, flex workers, and then people that if they want to come to the office, that'll happen. And I think that's true. I feel bad for the commercial property owners, how that's going to work out. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So
it's office is going to be like a drop in, drop out space. Sure. You're not going to have even potentially your own desk or office designated for you. You just kind of pop in. It's like working from a coffee shop, but it's your actual place of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off here with a few in-depth questions. Stephanie,
Well,
go ahead.
Can we first give a little intro, or maybe we can let Jenna tell us about herself first, just so we know who she is and what she does.
And just so you know, Jenna, we got a whole spiel that we cut kind of before this and whatever. So we'll give you a gleaming intro, but I think that's great.
That's what we'll call it, gleaming.
Yeah, actually, who are you and what do you do? Why are you here?
So I'm Jenna O'Connor, Director of Loyalty for GNC. But I've been around with GNC for coming up on 12 years. So, started off in direct marketing there and ran the direct to customer marketing programs. And then, as the Gold Card transitioned and evolved, it was a good opportunity for me to take on a little bit of a different role, which I've been doing now. Since the program started, but kind of more officially for the last couple of years. So that's pretty much what I do.
Man, I remember the Gold Card. Was this a national thing or was it a fluke franchise thing? The Gun Club, is that ring a bell or am I making that up?
No. That was probably a little special franchise thing that they did for you.
Yeah.
And this is like showing off your muscles, like which way to the gun club?
I believe it was literally like a bicep, and it was in Nebraska and it was in high school. But it's kind of crazy where I can, kind of trace back a lot of my ability to like earn a scholarship where, that fateful day, had I not skipped Hot Topic to walk into GNC, I really wanted that Nirvana shirt, but wandered into GNC and I actually had some cash on me because I was going to get a speaker system for my car. I was going to get some subwoofers, and these dudes at the GNC, kind of told me all about what they're up to and really kind of took me under their wing. And the irony is that I ended up working for those guys at another company called Complete Nutrition years and years ago. But that was, really when I got into vitamin supplements and healthy living. And boy, I mean, as a high school kid, just a little bit of like creatine in recovery, it was like crazy the advantage that it gave me over others. So
and back then, I mean, some of the ingredients were pretty darn powerful that we don't even have anymore. So I remember,
you can't get that stuff anymore.
Yeah, I remember some of that stuff, and I would be, bouncing off the walls. And
oh man,
it was pretty cool whenever you're a young kid and you can handle that kind of heart rate and stuff.
The big thing was Jose. This shows how old I am. It was Jose Canseco, and him and there's that big Barry Bonds and him doing the home run thing. And everybody. It was back when androstenedione was perfectly legal and everybody was using it. And you can imagine a 6'4", rail of a high school student all of a sudden getting that and protein and whatever. And then I watched, film of me playing. I was like, that just doesn't look fair. It's just like a grown ass man playing with a bunch of kids out there. So, that was a lot of fun. And Nicole, tell us a little about who you are, what you do, and what you're doing with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I am a director of partner services at Bulu, but also have been on the program manager for the GNC account at Bulu almost since day one. And I think the ink dried on the contract about 2 days after I was hired. And I really have soaked in a lot from Jenna, who is a complete badass. And we worked side by side over the last 5 years to really grow and evolve the program. And, as one component of the many perks for the various different customer loyalty programs at GNC, they offer a subscription box that is an opportunity for customers to sample some of the more cutting edge research, new flavors, new packaging products that come through GNC's product pipeline. And we pack and fulfill those. So I help Jenna make sure that all goes swimmingly, and she's really the brains behind it.
Yeah, what's really just impressive to me is I remember when we started working with the GNC team, arguably our focus was on a software that we were building. And, all credit to Jenna and Nicole, where this thing kind of we were doing, but it was kind of on the side at the time. And they just took it and run with it. And I think there was a lot of, um, I don't know, forces against it, or, we didn't have a ton of process. We didn't have a lot of things like teed up, and we just thought it was going to be kind of like this side thing that we were doing. And, I think all credit to them, it became the focus of our company, building boxes for other people and the fulfillment thing. So, hats off to you two, where it because of your hard work. And I can't imagine how challenging it'd be at both companies to not have this program as the quintessential thing that they're doing as kind of, part of some other things. And man, you two, I think you're both badasses. And I really think there's a very small amount of people that could kind of get it up the hill and over and continue to grow and build it. So thanks to both of you. We appreciate you both.
Well, I would love to hear, Paul, I think it's an interesting story of how we even got hooked up with GNC in the first place.
I was hoping on the sheet we'd skip this. Does Jenna, do you know the story behind it?
I just know a little bit about the Nebraska Connection and you and the former leader here and syncing up. But I knew that Nebraska was kind of the key point in kind of making things happen, I think.
Yeah. Do you want the real raw story?
We can do the PG-13 version.
Okay. I'll keep it that
I'm
way.
sure it includes lots of memes sent over email, though.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I would have to go back and see how I was originally connected, but a lot of it had to do with bumping into Lucky Vitamin. And we were at a conference and just kind of like talking with them. And I think at the time GNC had acquired them or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be respectful of all of that situation. I don't know anything more about it, but we were going to visit Lucky Vitamin. And I remember this like yesterday, because somebody from NPR, like the actual main NPR, I don't know. It wasn't Wait, Don't Tell Me. It was like one of their main national shows.
Terry Gross.
Yeah. It was this guy,
wish. That's
David,
like my dream.
and he was interviewing us for this NPR podcast / radio show. So we're in there and, we're talking about stuff, and then we're booking our plane tickets like last minute to go to Lucky Vitamin. And then I thought, oh, hey, we're going to be in Pennsylvania? Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah.
Well, we were going to be in that area. And so I started tweeting at Jeff and, all this other stuff like, hey, and I couldn't get a hold of him. And then we were trying to book flights. And he just finally, I think, DM'd me and was like, yeah, like whatever, bring your happy ass over here. So
Jeff, who at the time was
Jeff
the CMO.
Yep.
At GNC.
Yep. And I was like in the middle of this podcast interview, I was like, oh, shit, that worked. Okay. I guess we're going to see them. And we connected. And the first thing Jeff said to me is, you were one social media post away from being annoying and me not taking the meeting. And I was like, that sounds like the story of my life, Jeff. I'll forever remember that. It was like, ta-da, we're here. And he was like, something, you were one. So,
Paul is really good at towing the line on just about everything.
I'm good at falling flat on my face over the line. So yeah. And then it was kind of, it just all kind of kept happening from there, and met the team, and GNC has just been like super cool to work with. And yeah, I think the culture of just kind of getting shit done, direct conversations, it just really syncs up with kind of the attitude of our team. But yeah, I mean, I was one social media post away from not ever connecting.
Yeah, and I remember, the culmination of that, partnership and the reality that, the ProBox was going to be a component and a benefit of our program based on consumer research. And I just remember my boss at the time just said, yeah, so, you have to basically drop everything and just figure out how to do this. And I went home and cried.
Yes.
Because I knew nothing about
yes.
How to logistically and operationally do something like this. But, it was such a great learning experience, and it was just so great, to walk hand in hand with you guys, and partner with you guys to bring it to life, and pivot with us every time. It's been so awesome. And now it's, second nature. Right. So it's allowed us to be able to trust in you, trust in, my teammate, Steven, who's awesome and partners with Nicole every day, and just be able to focus on, the additional value and enhancements that we can make to the program beyond that. Because at that time it was just that, that we really had to focus on. It was so challenging. It's really allowed us to just grow and not worry so much about it.
Jenna, back when we were first talking, because most people, when they think about like a subscription box, quote unquote, they think of it as like its own revenue stream. And the box that we create for the GNC loyalty program isn't actually a subscription. It's an element and a perk of a loyalty program. Was there ever any consideration on actually just selling a membership to a subscription box? Or was it always from the get-go, this is going to be part of the loyalty program?
It was always from the get-go. Well, I shouldn't say that. There have been attempts that we've made on a smaller scale with sample boxes and trial boxes for some of our product launches, and to influencers and things like that we've done. But it's, when we researched and, the benefits and the composition of what our program was going to look like, it was always just a component of the program. It was a distinctive element and value add to the overall program. So there wasn't consideration really to have it be its own subscription style box. However, the perception is that the Pro Access program, which is again a program with many benefits, ProBox being one of them, the perception is that they're buying a box and not basically paying a fee for, lots of benefits, the box included. So it has created its own challenges from that, right? Because if you look at the box itself, even though it's super awesome and chock full of all this new and great seasonally relevant goal-based stuff, it doesn't equate to, the membership fee. So, I think that's probably the negative side of the box is just that there's so much weight on it that it overshadows unjustifiably at times the other elements of the program. So we're working really hard on to kind of just amplifying, the value proposition of the other benefits, as well as adding extra value to be able to maintain that box, but not put so much emphasis on it, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because most loyalty programs don't have any sort of actual tangible
physical thing,
thing that you can hold as a perk. So on the one hand, it's awesome that you have the ProBox to do that. But on the other hand, it presents a challenge that like now the membership fee is directly tied to the value of this tangible thing. And so you can't let it overshadow all of the other benefits they're getting. Yeah.
It's funny because that's almost, I feel like the same reason, if we take it way back to when we first launched the company and raised capital, where, here we are pitching and there's all these other, save the world app ideas, I call them. And, it felt a little silly at times when we were walking in and saying like, here's our sample box, or, subscription boxes, called sample boxes back then. But, and what we saw with the potential investors in the room of people is, man, everything changed when they just got that box in their hands. Right. And what that was the thing. And so I think, a lot of times it helped us. But boy, like there's a couple of times where it hurt us if, really the box isn't presented well, like physically. And there became a running joke. I mean, we raised capital in a really short amount of time, and there became a running joke, but it also worked where it was like, hey, when we let's hand out the boxes at the beginning before we present. Let them have it in front of them for like, the other startups that are presenting, and make sure there's like caffeine in it. And I was always like timing it, like, how do I get it to them like 30 to 45 minutes right before we present, get them caffeine or something that they can feel. Inevitably towards the end of our pitch, they would say, well, like, do the products actually work? Because that's always the, vitamin and supplement, rub, which, my first answer would be like, well, it's a X trillion dollar industry. And also, how are you feeling right now? And they're like, well, I feel great. I'm like, what did you take? And it was like just this way of like walking them into proving it. So we also found that just visually was like crucial, digitally to present it well. So it's funny where, all the other apps and all the other startups would have kind of these half-assed things. And here we come in with this like shiny box and like really cool graphics. And these people are like, I want that thing. So yeah, it is a kind of a blessing and a curse.
Jenna, I'd love to kind of hear how over the 5 years, what have been some of your biggest learnings from managing the Pro Access membership program? You started off in February of 2017. Your first shipment was 4,000 boxes or so.
Crazy.
We were doing shipments every 2 weeks. And not even a year later, you're doing 2 million shipments and you switched up to quarterly shipments. So what things, I know you're the queen of process and planning. So what kinds of lessons have you learned from managing the building out the ProBox portion of the My GNC Rewards program?
I would probably say that the biggest learnings were really just around, operational and production efficiencies along the way. And again, even with you as our partner, we've found lots of opportunities to streamline things that we've done to make it easier to do what we need to do. But, I think one of the biggest things is just that going from a biweekly send of boxes to then a quarterly, and even from 3 boxes a year to 2 boxes a year, I think you always have to just listen to the feedback that you're getting and react to it the best that you can. When we made every change that we've made has either been based off of just from an operational perspective to streamline and make things better and more effective and productive and all that good stuff. But, when you hear from customers and you make a change, for example, from 3 boxes a year to 2 boxes a year, if your 3 boxes a year the experience isn't, the best it can be. And it's just in a bigger, more fabulous box. It's meaningless compared to a jam-packed full box that may be smaller that you get 2 times a year. And so, you just have to listen, like what do your customers really want? What is, what are their expectations of the box, and try to meet that. You have to think about ways that you can help them to try to influence the contents of the box without creating such a complex program that it's operationally not possible to execute. But introducing box types and allowing customers to choose what goal version of the box that they want and allow them to change that, with each shipment. Introducing things like sample choice, where, the customer can select a sample to be in their box, and creating some element of personalization without giving them full reign of what's in the box, because then we miss out on the opportunity to introduce new and introduce things that they may not ever try before, and to surprise and delight them, and all those great attributes that we know that we need to hold on to. So, just trying to, again, kind of keep that balance of taking in the feedback that we're hearing and trying to act on it, but also trying to maintain what we know we need to do for our customers to encourage that, cross consideration and trial, and, introducing them obviously to different categories and brands that they might not otherwise try. So that's been a huge learning. And then also just, we're big offenders of this. And I'm sure that you can maybe attest that other folks may be the same way, hopefully, and we're not just, on our own on an island. But you can never predict as well as your plan and process is, from sourcing samples and producing samples and timelines and strict adherence to certain documentation and things that, it's always somebody's going to fail when you have this many partners contributing to the end product. Something's going to fall through. Ingredients are going to not pass QC, or samples are going to miss their timeline, or we're going to get short shipped, or a vendor's going to back out, or our boxes get produced, with the folds and
that was a crazy one,
and it can't be folded. There's always something, always. And
that was a first for us. So, I was like, how have we packed this many boxes and this has never ever happened? Not once.
Yeah.
So, honestly, you just learn to roll with it. And I think that that's kind of the biggest thing, is just that, initially it was like the end of the world when this stuff happened for the first time. And you were like, oh my God, this is going to fail. This is so important. And then you just, you get creative, and Nicole, and sitting down with you guys and expressing, what challenges that we may have, just coming together to find a solution and an alternative, and maintaining the customer experience. We get through it every time. So I've learned to ease up and let go and trust that everything's just gonna be okay.
Oh man, I feel like there was, first, thank you for that. Like, that was fucking gold. Like I had this just like moment where I was like, I always feel like when it comes to subscription boxes, there's a very small group of people that fully kind of grasp what it is. And I was like, oh God, Jenna is clearly in that like circle. And right away I was like, we need to do like a little series, like blog between her and Nicole, letters to membership subscription box people. But that was all spot on. And it, at the risk of sounding lame, it warmed my heart to hear that. I was like, yes. And I think what, like, interestingly enough, not to get all like fluffy, but like from like a mental standpoint, and I think this is something that I've gone through, and it almost feels like I can say everybody in the room has gone through this, and I don't have a better way to describe it, but it is the moment when you realize that you live in a world, or you work at a company where it's like you control the outcome, right? Like, oh, so I got something in my ear. Here we go. Sorry, 1 second. I got a little headphone
earbuds
issue.
Are talking to us.
Okay, I think I'm good now. But it's this moment in time when you're like, we're all, used to working kind of corporate, and it's like, I have a budget and I want to do this thing, and you execute, and that's that. And then with a product that is just relentless in nature, like that train, that ship is sailing, whether you like it or not, you almost have to go through this paradigm mental shift where you're like, I just have to believe in my team. I have to believe in the system. And it's like this thing where, it's kind of like maybe working out, or like going into the fourth quarter and you're like down by a bunch of points, and you're like, all I can do is believe in the team and we've been here before. And I know if we all just play our best, be creative, to your point, all of those other things, like it will work out. And what's so funny is like, I swear to God, this is why it makes parenting easier. I always come back to this. Like, that kid is going to grow up. He's going to do what they do. And no matter what you do, you're not going to just fully control them. So, how do you believe in the system? How do you believe in principles? And maybe really that's what I'm trying to say now that I hear myself blab, is it's the shift of living in a world of rules and process. And you have to shift to like principles and like vision and creativity. And that is hard. And, that's like, to me, a huge, blessing, gift, whatever you call it. And I think that that's also why this little community or subset of like corporate culture and subscription boxes, like everybody's really tight, because you kind of all know that at a certain point in time, either you go through that and you make it, or you kind of never get over that hump. So that was super, super insightful. Man, I feel like I could just listen to you go on more about that all day. Nicole, what I'm saying, does it sound like total bullshit, or do you feel like on some level you might have experienced that as well?
No, that's one of the things I really appreciate about working with the GNC. We really do get the best of both worlds. So they really bring that corporate culture to the relationship, and we bring that scrappy startup energy, and we really have found a symbiotic relationship. Jenna has schooled me in what it means to protect and find margin, really. And so that you can actually serve your customers better. Yeah. And, we've gone through an RFP process with GNC a couple times, and, everybody's tempted to walk away, and, all the other 3PLs think they can handle it better than we can. Yep. But at Bulu, what we've really found is that specialty is our specialty. And, there is a nuance to subscription business models that a lot of fulfillment companies overlook and underestimate. And so it's that relentless nature you're talking about, where the timelines are constantly, starting over. The cash flow is always super important to manage. It's planning, manufacturing, and production of the products, or sourcing of the products. It doesn't let up. And so it does take that creative, nimble, scrappier energy to really make us a program like this successful.
Agreed. Yeah, when we're talking with folks, and there's been 2 pretty significant brands in the past week. You find yourself trying to explain what we're talking about now, and it only kind of comes off as bullshit. And the only way I can handle that is identifying. I'm like, I know this sounds like bullshit. And, look, I realize that company says they can do it for 25 cents for fulfillment, and, $2.65 for box, shipping. But I'm like, it's not reality. And, you just go to their website and they got a 25,000 square foot warehouse. They can't handle your 1,000,000 boxes. I don't know how else to kind of articulate that. And it's good to hear, people kind of talk through that. And I always feel like now at this point, what the kind of margin goes for is obviously profitability, but the margin really does go for who wants to handle the headache? Right. And maybe you could call it salary or payment or whatever it is. And, when you're having these conversations with people, the attitude of well, how hard can it be to put shit in a box and ship it out? And my answer to that is, it's easy one time. It's easy to throw a bunch of stuff out and get it out once. But what you're not thinking about is, according to, the metrics, your first box is 10,000 in 3 months, but you got 180,000 in October. And it doesn't, let me tell you what's going to happen. Month 3, month 4, the fun, the creativity, I get to pick the colors, I get to pick the that all fades. And what happens is nobody wants to do it. And when that headache occurs, that's when you're going to, appreciate to have people, not even partners or whatever, but just knowledgeable people that are willing to, be the aspirin to that headache. Right.
Can we circle back on sample choice real quick?
Yeah.
So sample choice, when did we add sample choice as an option to?
Back in 1952.
November 2019.
November, so a couple years. And what that means is that of the sample products they're going to get in their box, they get to choose one of the products?
That's right. That's right.
Good.
And honestly, you guys made that possible, because kind of going back to the former conversation about, there's lots of partners that can or claim to, be able to kit and fulfill these boxes. It's really the digital services that you guys have helped to deliver for us when our internal resources and teams could not, to bring that experience to life. I mean, you could send somebody an email saying, pick a sample in your box, but if you don't have somewhere to send them to where the algorithm's in there to actually make that happen,
and make money.
And you don't think about the trickle effect from offering that customization to your customers. Because in the subscription box world, there's been a lot of buzz about giving control to the customer to choose what's inside and what they want. But you have to be careful about how much you're going to offer. Right. We've worked on programs where we offered way too much, and it actually negatively impacted retention.
There goes your margin.
Not to mention, like you said, Jenna, all of the logistics you have to manage down the road, because now instead of having 4 different box versions, you've got 45 that you have to manage. And so that it's such a big undertaking. And so for what we ended up doing with the ProBox, you know, giving some level of
and we've
control
seen so much
over the box and what you're getting, is just, it's like just the right amount. Like you're going to pick one of the other things, and we're going to surprise you with some other things, and we're going to choose some other things based on what we know from, you know, the box type you selected.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, I think it's a good balance. I mean, I think from an evolution perspective, it would be great to potentially allow for, you know, maybe one more.
Let's do it.
That they get to pick.
Birthday
so
gift.
we'll see. Or at least, if not that, you know, influence the next
Fruity Pebbles.
You know, maybe 2 quarters down the road, you know, influence some of the flavors or the contents of a future box and their goal. So it, you know, allowing them to influence that, whether that's, you know, kind of direct response, kind of survey driven, or otherwise in a fun kind of gamified way. You know, that might be how we get there. But yeah, I'm totally in agreement based on everything I know that people say that they want things that they buy and that they, you know, that they take every day or buy every day. But in reality, what is that? That's just you just get an extra, you know, that's like the, you know, 10 plus pills on your Tylenol bottle. I mean, what is that? You know, how does that help you to introduce you to things that are more modern and innovative and all that other stuff, unless we force it on you. So I mean, you know, we've got just such amazing, you know, innovations and collaborative partnerships from flavor perspective that I'm not sure somebody that maybe, you know, has strawberry protein every day of their life is going to try the Thin Girl Scout Thin Mints Pro Performance, you know, AMP protein flavor, or the limited edition, you know, peanut butter tag-along Girl Scout flavor. Things like that, they may just be a little hesitant. So that's where ProBox, I think, really lends itself, is to introduce that stuff, get people talking, get people considering things that, you know, may get them out of their rut, and maybe, you know, just rejuvenate their goals and their journeys and all that good stuff.
Because I am going to select the, sorry, I got to say this. I'm going to select the lit, I believe is it gummy worms flavor?
It could be the Jolly Rancher. Is it the Jolly Rancher flavor collab?
I swear there was some. I swear there was some gummy in the title.
Yeah, there is a gummy. There is a gummy. I think there's redfish, and then there's gummy worm.
Yeah, gummy worm. Yep.
Those are our flavors. The Jolly Rancher stuff is pretty intense.
Shit. I'm gonna definitely get that. And then what was the other one? I think I had a cereal flavor at one time, but it's like a.
We probably aren't supposed to say Fruity Pebbles, but it's Fruity Pebbles.
Yes.
No, we can neither. You hear you say it this way. I'd like to correct that and say for the
true.
Right.
I'd like to say
Pebble cereal.
Legally, I know how to cover tracks. We say we can neither confirm nor deny that it may taste like Fruity Pebbles. And also, just to really cover my bases, I am in no way a financial advisor. This is advice. I learned that from posting online. So the I was just gonna say, like, now that I'm saying the lit gummy worm flavor, my brain is like, I want that so bad. Also, what the one, I'm trying not to get into products, but I just love this shit so much. The Beyond Raw line, I mean, holy shit, is that as much? Does people love it as much as I do? Because that is like the dream of.
We have a whole cupboard full of it.
It's embarrassing.
It's an amazing line. You know, again, a little bit more intense. But especially with our Pro Access members, it is one of the top favorite products. And we typically even only extend promotions on that line through our Pro Access program. So that's another kind of benefit of the program. But yeah, I mean, the Beyond Raw line is incredible, and the stickiness of it. You know, once people get into the lit, especially in the lit Burn MF, as well as, you know, some of the proteins and things like that, they don't leave, you know. They just get totally
I like Aloni New. That's my new favorite.
Yes.
And
it's a good line.
And
it's a very good line.
This is probably like a very silly and trivial reason to really like something, but it's just so beautiful. The packaging and the branding is so beautiful.
The name lit MF. I'm like, these names are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, this sounds like somebody, gave me the
They
keys to the
probably hit the
castle for a
target
day.
audience exactly perfect because Paul is into Beyond,
Well,
and I'm all about Alani New.
Paul's picture is actually on the back of the Burn MF pack.
Yeah, what's up? Shirt off, everything, baby.
Just kidding.
Nicole, I cut you off. I apologize. Can we come back to? I'd love to hear what you were, where you're headed.
Well, I was just gonna say, I've also just really benefited. I'm lucky that by being the account manager of the GNC account, I've been on the ground floor since day one on being a Pro Access member, and it really has changed and influenced my behaviors. I'm biased, of course, obviously, because I'm invested, but I've benefited a lot, not just from the sampling program, which I have been introduced to a lot of new products. I do not start a day unless I have my Alani New pre-workout. But I've also discovered some new products for my husband to share because a lot of the products are not gender specific. And so that's fun to learn about new stuff. There's great reward points. So I've been able to stack deals. You guys have pro days. I have birthday benefits.
Nicole's hustling the system.
I need to be more strategic about the deal stacking. I'm not taking
I feel
advantage
guilty.
of that.
I feel
properly.
guilty. So I'm just like, I'm just going to pay for it.
Well, you shouldn't. Even an employee and a pro member, I shop our pro days and I love it. Every time I shop, even though I don't shop, a ton, I shop enough that I have a reward waiting for me every time when I go buy something. And to me, that savings alone, is worth being a member, let alone the free expedited shipping online and the pro boxes and giveaways and sweepstakes and swag and all the cool stuff. It does. It is a great program. And I'm just so thankful that you guys have been on this journey with us for this long.
Back at you.
We would not have been able to do it without you.
Thank you. I want to add to this really quick before we move on to the next thing is that, I think a lot of people, they hear this and it's like, oh, pre-workout, this, that, the other thing. I got to tell people that, there's a lot of things that help, with like mental clarity and focus. And that's definitely been, the train that I've been on almost more so since the pandemic started. Right. And so I think that's sleep and just kind of like mental focus or mental clarity. I think that's something that people probably wouldn't in the beginning associate with like GNC, but I think that's really important because, a little bit of melatonin can be life-changing for people. And, my mom dropping like Ambien for, 2-3 milligrams of melatonin, like that's so cool to see.
That's a funny you should say that specifically that topic. My father was on prescription sleep medication for years. And he actually tried the Beyond Raw anabolic sleep.
Yes.
And got off of it. And I actually just got him some more for Christmas. But you can completely change your life. To not be on prescription medication and to find something that is, a healthy alternative like that is just, it's priceless.
It makes you feel like great. And I think people like also, you have to remember like everybody, your body is so different. There's so many things going on. And, depending on, the pressure outside and your weight and what you ate that day, it really does take some, there's general things like protein that will work for everybody, and multivitamins, fish oil, vitamin D are just the basics, right? But, it doesn't take much to kind of try some new products out and figure out what really kind of like will give you that edge, right? So, I just think that's worth adding. So I don't feel like people are like, oh, they're talking about getting bigger biceps.
I know we're about out of time, but I wanted to talk about one more thing. We've talked a lot about the benefits to the customers from, getting samples through the ProBox and things. Jenna, can you share a few of the benefits that GNC or the Pro program has experienced, like some metrics, anything like that have benefited the company by incorporating the box as part of the program?
Our Pro members are some of our very, very best customers. Certainly doesn't make up our whole, best customer 30% of them, are considered our best customers. But, they have a much better retention rate year over year than, our free program members. They shop with us more, they spend more, and they're just much more engaged. They're, I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We also have a free program too. So, where we've got a much larger, membership base. But everybody can join that, right? There's no barrier to join. It's free. Yep. You earn cashback rewards, and you either shop with us or you don't, and you benefit from it or you don't. But with Pro, similar to what Nicole said, those folks that have paid a fee, they've invested, and they want to see that return. So they are more engaged. And, a lot of them, and I don't know how this has kind of evolved over time, but I'm sure not much. But I mean, the first, couple of years in the program, we looked at, who they were from a customer perspective, and 78% of them were former Gold Card members. Right. So a lot of these folks have just been longtime GNC advocates. And, they just have an affinity with our brands and with us. And, when we rolled out this paid tier, this premium perks tier, the status of the Gold Card just transitioned, and they've come along with us. So, they have shown us great loyalty, and in turn, it's our job to return that with the rewards. So, I think I have a lot of passion for, trying to do the best job that I can and we can as a company to really just thank them for being members, and, building a program that really delivers back, the value that we should. And because they do, again, they shop us, and they've stuck with us, and they've just engaged with us so much that we owe that to them.
Yeah, that's great.
I have one last question.
Okay.
So Jenna, we get, this is probably self-serving too, but I'm actually genuinely curious. We get half a dozen calls a week. These big brands, we had like a round table this week that somebody else set up, and it's a lot of, big brands or medium. I guess it's a lot of companies that are selling consumer packaged goods. And I always kind of net out to Bulu's job is not to convince people to do a subscription box. Our job is, if you decide to do one and you don't want to, handle the complicated headache of the logistics of making it happen, that's really our job. But I am curious, because I don't really have a good answer when people are like, why should I do a box? I can kind of launch into well, it's a tool, it does this or that. But I kind of always net out to look, I'm not selling you on the idea of these direct mail kitted products on a repeated basis. I'm here when you decide if that fits or not for your company. So from a very large brand's perspective point of view, I guess my question is two parts. Maybe it's one with potentially a second one, but it's, if you're in, I'm going to try to pull a brand out of the top of my Apple. I'm wearing an Apple Watch, or what's this I forget what this ring is called. Whatever it is. I don't know. Let's say just like brand X, they're a large consumer package brand, and they are thinking about doing some sort of kitted subscription box, et cetera. They're on the fence about it. They decide to ask Jenna, who is probably one of the most knowledgeable, if not the most knowledgeable from a consumer package brand standpoint. Jenna, why should I or should I not do this thing? What would you say back to them?
I guess it really just, it's a very hard question to answer, because, it all just depends on your goals, right? I mean, Amen. Some people want to do something, somebody, might want to do a box just because they think it's cool and trendy and everybody's doing it and they have to, right. do it too. But, there are other reasons. For example, if you're in a place, in a space where you've got a lot of exclusive partnerships, and innovative brands, and you've got a lot of newness coming into your store or marketplace, it might be a time to consider that vehicle as a means of encouraging some of your better customers to try to talk about that stuff, because otherwise it may get lost in a sea of all the other merchandise and things like that, but it also comes down to, for us, again, since ours is not a standalone product, our box, it comes down to customer research. What is, of all the things that you could offer your customers, where does that sample box, that trial box, where does it rank with them in regards to what they want? And if it's number 10 on a list of 12, then maybe you shouldn't do it. It's as simple as that, potentially. But again, I don't think it should ever be because it's trendy or it's hot or whatever. Because your customers are going to be the ones that are going to make it successful or not. But I think those are two kind of, at least from a CPG kind of perspective, of kind of reasons why you might want to consider it. Coming from a direct mail background for almost 20 years, I love the ProBox because it is that elevated premium direct mailer with such high 100% probably readership. It's certainly not going into the garbage like the rest of spam mail is, but I love just the fact that even from an acquisition perspective, if you're looking to you're renting a list of a competitive list or something like that, and leveraging a box, even though it's a super high cost to do it, depending upon the product, it could be an excellent acquisition vehicle. So there's just so many use cases, obviously, for it. Again, it just comes down to goals and customer, reaction and response potential.
That is just sage advice, and it makes me feel better because so many times we say the same thing, and it's cool to hear it without like a pre-discussion or anything, but the part with the goals. And I love that you said it might not be for everybody. We always say it's kind of a tool in your toolbox, and it might not be the right time to use it. And I feel good turning away 9 out of 10 calls because they have something else, and I'm like, oh, make that the priority. That in my professional opinion, that's better to do that thing. That's a lower hanging, bigger piece of fruit, and you can always come back to us. So that's such good advice. Okay, so I know we're coming up on time.
That's it. I think that's what we've got time for.
All right.
Unless Jenna has anything else she wants to share.
No, not really anything else. Just I appreciate that you took some time to talk with me. It's always fun to just chit chat. And thanks for being with us on this journey.
Thank you for joining us.
Back at you.
And hopefully
honestly, Nicole, she's gold. She's gold to us, really.
We know this.
She and you are such an extension of our team. I don't look at you guys as a vendor or even a partner, because you are a partner, but you're really an extension of our loyalty team. And that's super exciting because I think those kinds of relationships are just so hard to find and keep. And so thankful for you guys.
Yeah. And
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, we feel the same way. I mean, back at you, and so much knowledge, so much experience, so much insight, and from the side, so much gratitude. And we just echo what you said back. So thank you so much. Nicole, is there anything you want to add?
No, this has been awesome. Thanks, Jenna, for joining us.
All right. I'm going to try to con her to come back on the show, or maybe try to get a series with her or something, because it's just, making me realize like how much we can all team up and kind of educate some others together. So
yeah. And if we can get this dang pandemic under control, maybe we'll actually see you in person again. I want in on the next golf outing.
Yeah.
Deal. All right.
Yeah. That was fun. It was fun.
For sure. We are in next. All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Jenna O'Connor, Director of Loyalty at GNC. An absolute wealth of knowledge. This has been Box Talks with Bulu, or should I say Box Talks with Jenna and Nicole. I'm Paul.
And I'm Stephanie.
We'll see you on the next episode. We're still working on the outro music. Stay well.
Jenna.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thanks, Nicole. Bye guys.
All right, Stephanie. Well, just that exceeded my expectations. I feel like that time absolutely blew by, and we could probably, not only, I feel like in the reminiscing of how the program started and everything, that there's a lot of, we're good. Okay. There's a lot of knowledge that can be shared. And yeah, I just kind of like realized like, oh my gosh, like look how much we've done. Such a valuable episode. I'll just say hands down, it's probably our most valuable episode. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it was just nice to talk with Jenna. She's been a long time partner to Bulu, to us.
She's a badass.
We've been working on the GNC ProBox for years. It was our first actual kind of turnkey program that we worked on that we didn't own ourselves. So it was kind of it kind of is what started this whole snowball.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't even our intention either when we started it. It was just kind of like, let's help them out and see where it goes,
Yeah. And Jenna has just really, I mean, from when we first spoke with her, she's just spearheaded the ProBox program and now the entire loyalty program. So it's been fun to see her grow and evolve and like take that program to the next level. Because I mean, she's just so talented and like Nicole said, she's such a badass.
Yeah, they both are just badasses. So, all right, cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been Box Talks. I'm Paul.
I'm Stephanie.
Bzzz.